I've got a message for people who work in public services such as mental health and social services, child protective services, all of these kind of things, domestic abuse and stuff like that. Whenever you're faced, even with an angry man, trying to tell what is happening, stop judging and listen. Pay attention. Give them a chance to feel safe around you, whether you're a man or a woman. What people like us are trying to share at that stage, at that state of mind, may be difficult for someone to hear, may be very intense for a female in any kind of profession to deal with. Because we all normalized the fact that men need to be quiet and respectful and do whatever women say and make them happy. But when it comes to us, if we have something to say about our own happiness and about our own feelings, God forbid, trying to be completely honest and ourselves about it. We're constantly being told how perfectly we have to act so that we don't get in trouble every step along the way. And it just doesn't work. I cannot perfectly explain how hurt I was throughout the relationship. I cannot perfectly explain what happened to me. I'll give you a perfect example that I've literally had baby shit thrown in my face. For whatever the reason. It doesn't matter what the reason for her anger was. My anger was not justified as much as her anger was not justified. But I know that the things that I have done, I wouldn't have done them if I wasn't pushed over the limit. And the things that were done to me, I would have never imagined doing them to anyone. I definitely learned how to forgive all that. Not for my own sake, but also for her sake. I understood it was not all her fault. We just don't know what better things look like. And even if we get them, we're not used to having a life like that. We have to learn about safe attachment, about respect, trust, and how to build a relationship, because it doesn't just magically happen by itself and then stay there forever, happily ever after. The message to all these social workers, like these people in my case, I would be sexist to say it's women. They're people. Everyone's just people. Turns out that unfortunately I have found a lot more compassion and safe space while talking to other men. And it seems like these things have just changed recently, that men are now finally also open to each other a lot more, that we tend to listen a lot more, and we do care. My message here is, if you're a social worker, mental health care professional, or anyone, think what happens when you allow either a man or a woman to suffer because you simply ignore and gaslight everything they say and everything they do on the simple premises that you consider and judge them as the only villain in your own story. Not the story of my ex-partner, not my story or anyone else's, but your story that you made up as a professional. I literally was told by this same professional, social worker, in front of my therapist, who obviously in that situation completely failed to protect me. She turned to me and said, "You're not aware how abuse affects little children. Clearly, I could not find ways to elaborate and explain what kind of childhood I had. And that my mistakes in my relationship are a reflection of that suffering that I had as a child and the suffering I'm experiencing in the relationship as an adult. The first thing on the mind of every social worker, every mental health care professional, every child protective service professional, and the police should always be compassion for everyone involved. I understand a lot of women get hurt, but we still don't want to discuss how many men got hurt first. And how did they get hurt? I never saw myself as an abusive wife beater. I beat the wife beaters when I see them. I beat the bullies when I see them. The problem was, it turned out I got bullied by my partner. Psychological abuse, manipulation, lying. I mean, all of those things. I'm also guilty of those, but I lied because I didn't want to argue about smoking. I lied because I wanted to have peace. Telling the truth or a lie made no difference. But I was lied to about stuff that, at least to me, was a lot more important. About the fundamentals of a relationship. About the fact that if you do want to share your love and attention with anyone else in a committed relationship, it should be discussed, and then it should be super transparent. And it should be fair for everyone. Just as an example, reciprocating a green light in an open relationship with extreme jealousy is abuse. And as a person, I don't know how better I should have responded after such a prolonged stress and abuse. Not to mention, I was also working in a toxic, highly stressful environment. My whole life has been always a battle, outside and inside. And recently, after I finally found my peace and my love and drive to restart my life completely independently and on my own, the same social worker comes back again, striking with a lie. A lie so severe that it literally caused me physical pain. Not immediately, but days following after, and it kept getting worse. Because the consequences of these lies could be that I could never see the kids without some people like her continuously supervising my visits. For what reason? Because between the two people, between the two adults, one of us still, to that point, could not admit to themselves that they are confused. They tell me that they care about me and they love me. We have 3 children together. I've invested more than just the time we spent together. I've invested my life previously, lessons I've learned from the previous relationships in my life, into trying to be the best partner and a father I can be, and learning to improve myself. But when I was faced with belittling, shaming, guilt-tripping, being constantly put down and devalued, dismissed, gaslit, I started to believe that, and I started to feel worthless. I didn't know who I am. And to top it all off, lying social workers make my life much worse now.